DevilNeverCry.
Devil May Cry, a game I absolutely adored as a child, and to this day remains one of my favorite games of all time. And in this video, we're gonna see if we can beat it, start to finish, and get our money back. For those of you who aren't familiar with Steam's refund policy, they will, without question, provide a refund for a game you've purchased, provided that you request the refund within 14 days and you have less than 2 hours total playtime. And so the stage has been set and the time limit has been outlined. We need to beat Devil May Cry within 2 hours if we want to get our automatic refund. To do this, I'm likely going to have to make use of a lot of speedrunning tactics. Taking a look at the Devil May Cry speedrun leaderboards, 2 hours almost seems like a joke. In fact, if you scroll all the way down to the 27th position on the category will technically be running, I'm in there with a total time of 48 minutes and 4 seconds. Saying that though, it has been a year since I've submitted this run or even touched this game in a speedrunning capacity. I'm just hoping that I remember enough to get me to the end before the 2 hour limit. To sweeten the deal a little bit, I reckon I can beat this game so fast you'll be able to double my time and it'll still be under the 2 hour limit. And if I don't manage that, not only will I not be able to get my refund, there'll also be a forfeit involved. But fingers crossed, it won't come to that. So without further ado, let's dive in and play some Devil May Cry.
Time to go to work, guys.
So to kick things off with Mission 1 and Mission 2, I'll need to beat both these missions with an S rank finish. That means I'll need to beat these missions quickly, I'll need to find a lot of the orbs or currency that you see throughout the game, and I'll need to take minimal damage. When it comes to Mission 2, in fact, I'll need to no damage the entire mission. I start off Mission 1 very strong. I end up getting the hidden orb jump on the very first try atop of the statue, and I also get good RNG in the basement section, where the game decides to give me enemies with a fairly low health pool that don't take too long to kill. We managed to complete Mission 1 with an S rank, getting the first early game challenge out of the way, and begin Mission 2, Judge of Death. We start this mission by immediately going for our first Devil Arm, our first melee weapon, Alistair. This dragon sword essentially gives us access to Devil Trigger and a plethora of moves. We hop into the library, grab a key item, and then we swing on by into the courtyard where the rustiness begins to rear its head. I almost go the wrong way here for a second, not knowing where exactly I was supposed to go, before muscle memory kicks in and I make my way towards the correct area. I tackle the nightmarish Sin Scissors in the library, where things almost go awry yet again. You can kill these enemies with one hit, but they're not playing ball for me here. Eventually I manage to take them down, narrowly avoiding their giant scissors plummeting towards me as I end the mission and get another S rank. The reason those 2 S ranks are vital is because they give us enough currency by Mission 3 to pick up the Stinger 2 ability, which is an attack that throws Dante towards an enemy, but can also be used to zip around the game map rather quickly. We don't have to S rank Mission 3, but I will attempt to go for the special bonus, which requires us to no damage the mission. If I do this, I'll get an extra 2,000 orbs to play with, which we'll need to buy air hike later. We plunge down into a watery abyss, make our way back up, and fight our first boss, Phantom, who unfortunately puts a stop to my no damage plans, and that is 2,000 orbs that I've missed out on. It sucks, but it can be adjusted for, it's not the end of the world. We press on to Mission 4, picking up a holy water on the way, where things go wrong yet again. In the courtyard we face an enemy known as Shadow. It has a shield that needs to be deactivated with gunfire before its core is exposed, which will be able to attack. The health of its shield, however, is entire RNG. The game could give it almost no health, or it could give it a substantial amount, and in the event of this run, it gave it quite a lot. We finally get its shield down and the enemy goes critical. Normally, the enemy would eventually start their dying animation and we'd be able to press on. However, this enemy seems to be hellbent on attacking Dante even though it's dying. After wasting some time, Shadow finally meets its end. Dante plunges his massive sword deep into a woman's chest and steals her soul, and we face the next boss, Nello Angelo, who we quickly dispose of with some holy water, aka the Jesus juice. Mission 5 has us face a Shadow yet again. This one goes down rather quickly thanks to RNG being on our side this time. We pick up some orbs and we finally get a special bonus which gives us extra money to play with. Mission 6 has us traverse through the sewers of the castle, so we pick up a couple of bottles of holy water, baptize a few giant insects before facing yet another flying boss. This one goes down with some more holy water before we pick up the guiding light key item and the mission ends. So far, things are looking pretty good. Mission 7 has us do some backtracking. We manage to escape the sewers and have to backtrack all the way up to where Dante stole that soul before that boss fight with his brother. Mission 8 is where trouble begins to rear its ugly head again. Because I didn't get that special bonus in Mission 3, I'll have to get it in this mission instead, which means I'll need to no damage the upcoming boss fight. And this is all so I can have the extra orbs needed to buy Dante's double jump. As expected, things are going fairly well, and right at the last second, I take damage, ruining my plan, meaning that I won't get Dante's double jump in this run. It's not the end of the world, but it would have made things much easier. With that boss out of the way, we pick up our grenade gun and head on to Mission 9, where we're leaving the castle for an extended period of time. We traverse the courtyard, making sure not to take damage from any of these crazy enemies, and then we're faced with some rather interesting platforming. For those of you that don't know by now, DevilNeverCry features fixed camera angles, which can make platforming and depth perception rather tricky. Midway through this platforming section, I mess up my usual jump and plummet to the ground, forcing me to start it again. Instead, I decide to take a different approach, which proves to be the right thing to do. We skip our first encounter with the Griffin boss fight outside the Colosseum, make our way towards the end of the mission, but not before we have to pay 200 orbs in tax just to open up a door. Absolutely ludicrous. Mission 10, the Canyon of Mist, is a fairly simple mission to take on provided you know how to manipulate the upcoming light puzzle. We have to push this specific enemy that has the light within it all the way across the area boundary, forcing the light to take that specific path. If we decide to kill the enemy before getting him over that area boundary, the light could take any which path and make things annoying. We succeed in manipulating the light where we want it to go, douse a couple of spiders in even more holy water, and head on to Mission 11. We're at the midpoint of the game now, and things are going better than expected. That isn't to say though that this is a surefire success at this point, as there is always the scope for me to fuck things up royally. Mission 11 for me is usually a pretty good mission. I can often nail it down, no damage, and grab an S rank. Of course that's not what happened this time though, as I get clipped with a random enemy attack, causing me to finish the mission with an A rank instead. Mission 12 is where the game decides to mix things up. This is when they introduce the short first-person underwater swimming sections. We literally dive into the water head first, pick up this hidden item in this treasure chest, find the needle gun, which we absolutely need as it's our only way to attack underwater, before facing Griffin, the giant three-headed chicken bird. We use a pretty risky strat that requires some fairly tight timing to get its health down, and then throw one holy water at it, nailing the boss down in a matter of seconds. And with the fires of St. Elmo lighting the ship's way, that concludes Mission 12. Mission 13 for the most part is a forgettable mission. There's more underwater sections, we have to manipulate one of the enemies to stay still so that we can attack it, and then we get out of the ship in around 40 seconds flat, bringing us straight on to Mission 14. Mission 14, Deep Darkness and Towering Mountains, has us initially traverse this chamber filled with holes all over the ground. Then, as we get to the end of the chamber, we see a perplexing statue embedded in a bunch of spikes. Environmental storytelling for you. Crazy. So, to get through this section as we pull this lever, we're going to make use of the newly acquired Vortex ability. This again is an attack that we're using to traverse the environment, with the added caveat that whilst Dante literally spins to win, he has invulnerability frames, iframes, which make him impervious to damage. An amazing way to get through this chamber, which is now filled with spikes that jut out at random intervals. We make it out of that torture chamber unscathed, visit a scenic waterfall, and have to pay the taxman yet again another 200 orbs so that we can get to the end of the mission and begin mission 15. We spin to win across the Colosseum again, make our way through another torture chamber, making use of the untouchable item to literally make us untouchable, pick up a key item before we have to face Griffin for the final time, where we don't really fight him, we just season him with some holy water until he stops breathing. Under the blanket of night, mission 16 now tasks us with backtracking all the way back to the castle and all the way to that cathedral where we initially fought that boss in mission 3. Before we can end mission 16, however, we have to face the Nightmare boss, a boss that can ruin a run if you're not careful. This boss works in phases where his core is only vulnerable at specific points. Typically, you'd have to go through a couple of phases of this core being exposed for you to do enough damage to defeat the boss. However, we can manipulate this boss and use some holy water to decimate this boss in just one cycle. Timing is everything for this strategy. If you're off by just a few fragments of a second, the holy water won't work as his core is no longer invulnerable, forcing you to sit through a bunch of enemy animations before that core is vulnerable again. Not to mention you've also just wasted a bottle of Jesus juice. With the boss defeated and my ego inflated, we cross the broken bridge, making sure not to fall into that watery abyss again, before proceeding on to mission 17, where for the most part the mission starts off strong. We defeat some fire-breathing dinosaur bones, crank a crank like this is Resident Evil, and then fail with the platforming yet again. This is where the double jump air hike ability would have worked wonders. As such though, I now have to find a way to jump off of one of these walls up onto the platform. The issue is that you need to be up on the raised section for you to gain enough air to go over the banister or railing of this platform. I waste a bunch of time here, but I eventually end up doing it, picking up the Quicksilver and proceeding on to the boss fight, the final time that we fight Nello Angelo, plot twist, who ends up being Virgil. And by defeat, of course, I mean cover in copious amounts of holy water until they stop breathing. Who knew this stuff could be so effective? Mission 18 starts us off with even more underwater action as we narrowly avoid a haircut and swim our way to the top of a water-filled tower. We grab another key item before making our way to another familiar courtyard. As you'll have noticed, the layout of this place has literally changed overnight. Spooky. Lo and behold, Nightmare makes his second appearance, and we make use of the same strategy the first time to put him down yet again. Something else you may have noticed is that we actually fight a lot of these bosses 3 times. But this isn't no shonen manga, there is no training arc, there is no power up. They just come back to get their ass beat and love it. Mission 19 is another smooth mission for us. We're traipsing around the mirror world to find another key item, and we encounter a new enemy type, the Nobodies, who, of course, we propose a toast to, and by that I mean douse with more holy water, before making our way across this broken bridge yet again, being incredibly careful not to fall in, and we enter the underworld. We're entering the final stretch of missions here, and we're doing rather well on time, provided that is that I don't have to restart one of these missions, as then it could get pretty dicey. Mission 20, the final showdown. And it is the final showdown, because after this, we never see Nightmare again. I suspect it has something to do with the copious amounts of holy water we threw at him. With Mission 21, we are tasked with making our way through the underworld, fighting a bunch of nobodies, and literal demon spaghetti which suck the life out of you. Making our way all the way to the end, we come to a lava section, and this is where I make a big mistake. And of course, it all comes down to the wonders of platforming in Devil May Cry. You see, there's a great skip here that you can do, provided you have the correct positioning, the Cosmo Climb, coined as such after the runner who invented the strategy, D.E. Cosmic. By vortexing at an enemy and disengaging your lock-on, you can slingshot your way up to the roof of this room and bypass all of the platforming. Now, I get a partial Cosmo Climb here because, as mentioned, I'm incredibly rusty, and I was happy with that, until we get to the final jump of this platforming section, where I cack it up royally, and we drop all the way back down to the very start, which forces me to go through the platforming legitimately and waste a good minute or so. At that point, I was literally fuming, infuriated at the fact that I'd missed such a simple jump, but such is life. We press on to Mission 22, Legendary Battle. This is technically the final boss, though this is definitely not the final challenge of this run. The first phase of this boss is an afterburner phase, which we can easily skip through doing properly by using our Devil Trigger Dragon, aptly named Puff. Whenever you hit your Devil Trigger button, when you have some Devil Trigger runes, Dante will throw out this dragon, which does a hefty amount of damage to Mundus here, the final boss. Stock up on a couple of Devil Stars to refill your Devil Trigger, and you can keep popping out this dragon and take out this first phase incredibly easily. And that's exactly what we do. Moving on to the second phase here, where we're surrounded by lava, we do the right thing, which is walk directly into the lava and start attacking the final boss. Before we die though, we're going to pop an Untouchable, which again makes us impervious to damage, and essentially mash this boss down like he owes us money. And with Mundus out of the way for the time being, we can move on to Mission 23, the classic Capcom escape. We now have to backtrack all the way to the very beginning of the game, and do so in good time. At this point the muscle memory kicked in, and thankfully I remembered exactly what path I needed to take to escape Midway Island. There are a few enemies that you can skip, and a couple of forced encounters which we force our way through with the use of holy water, before we have to face the final boss yet again. Except he looks like he smothered himself in a can of spaghetti. We literally vortex our way through this boss, and we're still not done. There is one more flying segment with the biplane that we need to complete before we can beat this run. This is what I meant when I said that the final boss wasn't the final challenge. This biplane section is not a victory lap. You have to play, and you have to play well. If you stand around not dodging the stalagmites or breaking them with gunfire, you can die very easily, forcing you to restart the entire section. And with my hands sweating with anticipation, my brain addled with rage from some of these horrible platforming sections, Midway Island collapses around us, but not before we're able to escape and complete Devil May Cry with a time of 51 minutes and 52 seconds, destroying the 2-hour time limit and even the challenge I set myself of doing it in under an hour. Not a bad time for someone who isn't really a speedrunner. And so the challenge I set myself has been bested, and I'm well within my rights to claim a Steam refund. Before we go any further, thank you so much those of you who are still watching, still listening. Big round of applause. Thank you for sticking with me till the very end. I want you to comment DMC2 in the comment section of this video, and if enough of you do, maybe I'll do exactly the same with DMC2, tackling both characters, and I'll see if I can get that sweet, sweet refund. And of course, one final curveball plot twist, I wasn't playing on PC or Steam, so unfortunately, I can't get a refund. If I was though, then I definitely could. If you enjoyed today's video, do be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing. Not only does it help support the channel massively, it also lets me know via the analytics exactly what kind of content you want to see from me. With all of that said and done, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I'd like to thank all of you for watching, And as always, I'll see you all next video.